Santa?
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
I didn't think you were real. How did you get in my house?
Magic, little boy.
Oh, that checks out.
Have you been naughty or nice this year, little boy?
All things considered, I think I've been pretty good.
Ho, ho, ho. That's very nice, little boy.
Why do you keep calling me little... Never mind. What'd you bring me?
Oh, you're going to have to wait till the morning, under the tree. Well, Santa must be going. I've got a lot of houses to visit. Be good.
Okay, bye, Santa. Oh, looks like Santa left his sack of presents. This bag is huge.
Ah! What took you so long, asshole? Some fat dude just broke into our house in a Santa costume. And he took all our presents. Don't you see nothing under the tree?
Wait. So that wasn't Santa?
No, why would Santa be in our house? And he's not... Why would you think he'd be in our house, Dan?
Magic?
Oh, that checks out. And we're back. Issue 2 of Super Sons. Dan, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good, Jake. Talking about maybe one of my favorite episodes of TV of all time.
Oh, what's that?
The Justice League, Comfort and Joy. But do you know what season it is, Jake?
Season 2.
No, it's the holiday season.
Oh.
Come on, dude. That wasn't even like a setup. That was just perfect. Before we start really getting into everything, I just wanted to make a note that by the time this episode comes out, I will have seen Aquaman. I will have gone to the movie theaters and seen a film about Aquaman. I just wanted to say that, being that it will be the biggest day of my life. I don't care if I ever get married or have children or anything like that. Always going to be Aquaman.
Scarlett's going to be very happy to listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe it'll make up for the game. Which we own.
And one other, kind of like a DC Comics news update. There was a great holiday special this week. DC's Nuclear Winter special had some great stories. It actually had Superman 1 million, which I never thought I would see again. That's Superman from the far, far future.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's expected to see him again.
Yeah.
Was Batman from Pluto on it?
No, Batman from 666 was in it.
Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Vampire Batman?
No, Batman 666. That's Damian.
Oh, right. I'm thinking of something different.
All right, so got a lot to cover today. Pretty excited. This is our first holiday special. Primarily Christmas special, because most of the specials have been Christmas. So, do you want to introduce our two stories?
Sure. As you said, we are covering Justice League, Comfort and Joy, and Batman the Brave and the Bold, Invasion of the Secret Santas. Well, before we get into the stories, Dan, do you want to tell us who wrote and directed both of them?
So, for Justice League, the director is Butch Lukic? Never going to get names right. What do you think it is?
Lukic?
Lukic. That sounds about right. And the writer is Paul Dini, who has written most
good stuff.
Most of the major DC Comics television cartoons, not TV. And the second story, Batman Brave and the Bold, the creative team is the director Brandon Vitti and writer Adam Beechin.
I think it might be Vietti. Let's just get our bases covered on that.
Vietti? I probably should never read the names. But I'm going to start off with a summary of Justice League Comfort and Joy. I'm going to go over a few basic things. The major characters in this episode are Superman. I really hope you know who he is. Martian Manhunter, a Martian from Mars, the last of his kind. Hawkgirl. Green Lantern, specifically Jon Stewart, who most of you will know if you've ever seen the Justice League cartoon. The Flash, who is Wally West. I think last episode we only had Barry? Or we had Wally in...
We had Wally in Nightmare.
Mm-hmm. And the Ultra Humanite.
And Ma and Pa Kent.
Yeah. They are so good.
And Streaky, the super cat.
Well, yeah, they're going to be mentioned later. So, give you a quick summary of this episode. The way this episode starts is that they're on an alien planet, and the full Justice League is helping save them, pulling them from the gravitational pull of another planet so they don't collide. The small little creatures thank them, and the Flash and Superman talk about it's a great way to start their holiday season. From this point, the episode breaks up into 3 stories. The first story is about Green Lantern and Hawkgirl. Green Lantern decides he'd rather stay on the planet than just leave with everyone else. The reason being is that it's covered in snow, and when he was a kid, his grandmom used to take him sledding every winter, and it's a really big memory for him, so he wanted to snowboard down these mountains. Hawkgirl, not being from Earth and not really understanding the customs, didn't understand why he cared so much about snow. They get into a snowball fight, and at this point, I think it was... Were they dating, or was it pretty heavily...
I think it was a lot of heavy flirting.
Got it.
But, I mean, if you've seen Justice League, you know what happens soon after this.
So, they have the snowball fight, and then Hawkgirl brings up that she wants to show him her tradition. And so they go to an alien planet, to a bar. They go into the bar, and she knows the bartender by name. He gives her 2 drinks, not realizing...
Wait, hold on. She also has a specific name.
Is it... Which one is this?
Wings.
Oh, he calls her Wings.
He calls her Wings.
He hands her 2 drinks, and both in front of her, so you know she's cool. Cool. So they raise a glass, and they have their drink, but then she says she really wants to share her tradition with them. She then takes her mace and hits the man next to her, and the bar breaks out into a massive bar brawl.
Well, she also throws Lantern under the bus.
Yeah, she throws him... Doesn't she throw him at him?
No. She hits him with the mace and then points at Lantern.
Yes.
But we'll get to that aspect of it later.
So basically, her special holiday tradition is to get into a full bar fight that ends with everyone passed out. And then she says, "Happy Christmas, John," and she gives him a kiss on the cheek when he's asleep.
On the belly of the man that they that started the fight.
Like his arm is draped over them. It's a pretty cool image. The next story is about the Flash. And the Flash makes his annual visit to the Central City Orphanage to see what the kids want for Christmas.
I think it's Keystone in this.
Yeah, it's Keystone. And the lady who's running the orphanage says, "Are you guys ready for the man in the big red suit?" And the Flash shows up. So clearly these kids love the Flash, as everyone should. So he asks them what they want for Christmas this year, and they say they want this new toy, and they show him the commercial. He's called DJ Rubber Ducky. And DJ Rubber Ducky raps, and he makes fart noises. So the real cream of the crop of kids' toys.
DJ Rubber Ducky.
So at this point, it pretty much becomes Jingle All the Way without Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so Flash starts going to every store he can go to because he's the Flash. He pretty much runs around the entire country, and not a single store has it in stock. So he's kind of perplexed on what to do. But then he realizes that he can literally just run to the factory where it's made and get it. So he runs over there. The owner of the factory gives it to him because he's the great hero Flash. And he makes his way back to Keystone City. Once he gets into Keystone City, he's met by the Ultra Humanite, who is destroying an art gallery because the art inside is not tasteful to him. He doesn't care for it, so he just destroys it, which is a totally rational thing to do. If you don't like art, just blow it up. Like, what other options are there?
Art is an explosion.
So
You'll get that eventually, Dan.
So he's destroying this museum. The Flash runs in, and he's like, all right, dude, can you stop? Like, it's Christmas. Let's not do this. So they kind of throw some punches. But in the battle, the toy is broken. And you can see all of the life drain out of the Flash's face. This is... and
then
kind of
the consciousness fades out of him because Ultra Humanite hits him with a gun.
Right. So then he wakes up, and Ultra Humanite is actually at his workbench fixing the rubber ducky. He told the Flash that he'd inspired him with the holiday spirit. So he's fixing the DJ rubber ducky. So eventually they bring it back to the orphanage, and the Flash is wearing a Santa beard, and he makes Ultra Humanite wear, is it a Frosty hat?
Yeah. And then he calls him Mr. Snowman or something.
So Flash gives the kids the DJ rubber ducky, and they all get around it ready to play. And instead of doing the fart noises, it starts telling the story of the Nutcracker in the Ultra Humanite's voice. Well, I think it is
his very, very baritone. Well, bassy, more bassy than baritone voice.
Sorry, I just want to interject here. Kelsey Grammer is what I would say who would play the Ultra Humanite. I just want to put that out into the universe because
I think that's correct.
All I could think about was Kelsey Grammer when he was on the screen. I was like, man, he would be really great for this humanoid monkey guy.
I mean, if only he hadn't played Beast.
Yeah. So, the Flash does return him to prison, but once they get back to prison, there is a there's a silver tree, one of those ones, the lights that change colors, in his cell, because the Flash wants to bring him a little holiday spirit, and that vignette ends on Ultra Humanite sitting in his cell with these Christmas lights, and it's pretty wholesome. But now we're getting to the single best story in all of DC animation.
Well, arguably, I personally prefer the Flash one.
All right, well, you can go to hell. So, in the beginning of the episode, John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, says that Christmas, the holiday season, doesn't mean anything to him. And Clark Kent takes that personally. Clark wants to show him what it means. Clark can really empathize with Martian Manhunter because he is also the last of his kind. It's something that they can bond over, and he understands what it feels like to be alone. But Clark, fortunately enough, had the best parents in the DCU, Ma and Pa Kent. So he brings him back to the farm in Smallville. So when they arrive at the house, Clark walks in, very excited to see his parents, hugs and everything. And John comes to the door and he says, "Hi, I'm John Jones. I'm a Martian." And most of the time, people will be like, "Oh, you're an alien." And Ma and Pa Kent put their arms around him, bring him in the house, and say, "We're used to that around here." So they welcome him like he's never been welcomed before. And it's really gets the holiday spirit going in you. So they're all sitting around the kitchen table drinking coffee, or is it hot cocoa? One or the other. And they're talking about Clark as a kid and how he would always try to look through his presents, but they were lead wrapped so he couldn't see through them because Superman's X-ray vision doesn't go through lead. And Clark shows him his room. He's staying in Kara's room, which is his cousin, who's actually on a ski trip with Babs, who is Barbara Gordon, Batgirl. So it's a lot of cool continuity in there. But Martian Manhunter sits on the bed, and out from the corner walks one of the best Superman characters ever, Streaky the Super Cat.
Streaky the Super Cat, best cat ever. Especially in the crypto show.
So he comes in and screeches at Martian Manhunter. Wants nothing to do with him. So the day goes by and it's nighttime's just around the corner. Martian Manhunter's feeling more alone than ever, and he goes corporeal and goes to the floor and sees Ma and Pa washing dishes and embracing each other, and then he goes into the other room where Clark, a fully grown man, is on his knees trying to look through his presents, but they're still wrapped in lead. Also, earlier in the episode, they're talking about presents, and they're like, yeah, we used to put them under the tree and wrap them in lead, and he goes, no, Santa did it. So, like, the Man of Steel, like, the most powerful superhero, arguably the biggest hero ever.
Dan, I think you missed a very... well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I'm not... the episode's still going. So, John Jones goes into town and disguises himself as a human, walking around, looking into a diner, seeing people in Santa hats, just having a great holiday time. And he's just watching from the outside. He's not on the inside. But throughout the day, he's had things that make him feel like he is part of the family. He didn't bring them any presents, but Ma had an extra sweater that she made with her friends. Was it at the church, she said? Or a group of her friends?
Think they wanted to, I think it was the community center.
Yeah, the community center.
Because I don't think they wanted to make it like too overt.
Yeah, so she gives him this sweater, and like the look on his face is pure joy. Like someone brought him into their home and gave him something that meant a lot to him, and the sweater is huge on him, and she goes, oh, I didn't know your size, and he goes, I'll grow into it, and because he's a shapeshifter, he just gets so much bigger and fills it out completely. But while he's on his late night stroll, he walks by a church, and they're singing Christmas carols, and he stands there for a minute, just listening. Then he goes back home, and the next time we see them, it's Christmas morning. And Clark, like the big child he is, jumps out of bed, throws on his robe, and runs into the hallway, where Ma and Pa are already awake, standing outside Martian Manhunter's door. And Jean is in his true alien form, sitting on the windowsill, petting Streaky, the super cat, singing songs of his people. And Superman says, I thought he didn't bring any gifts. And that's where the episode ends. And that is the most wholesome fucking 23 minutes of television ever.
It is very good.
So, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about that. So, there's a lot of great stuff here. I think there's really not much that you can talk bad about this.
Yeah, this is like one of those things that's just like really good all over. Something I really loved about this, that Batman's only in the beginning, but
he begged for monitor duty. I kind of wish they had said where Diana was, but
yeah, she's not in the episode at all. But like,
yeah,
she's also a character that we don't like get to see in these situations much. The fact that it shows like it opens with all of them working together so perfectly is like one of my favorite parts of that show. Is that that team was so well built. Like the way they acted, their interactions, everything like that was like so on point.
Mm-hmm.
And they grew to that point because in the beginning they weren't like that. There wasn't like a ton of unison when they all got together.
Yeah, and Superman was drawn weird, but now he's not.
Well, it's that Bruce Timm animation or the art style. Sorry.
Yeah, no, well, it wasn't they put it back to his own animated series look, whereas before he had like a very distinct look and cheekbones. The first season.
Oh,
but then they fixed it.
I get you. So John Stewart and Hawkgirl.
Yeah, let's talk about that first.
Let me just put something out there. I'm not one of those people who like, I don't know, ships these people or anything like that, but fuck Hawkman. Yeah. Fuck Hawkman to the sun. John Stewart and Hawkgirl, 100%.
All the way.
Yeah,
all the way.
Fuck Hawkman.
I think it's such an organic way that they interact. It's flirting, but it's still light and playful. It's not so overt.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's well done. It's real. It's real.
Yeah,
and I think personally, the second half of the bar fight doesn't get me as much as the snowball fight. I think that was so much fun. Like they did, it was so creative the way that it was planned out. Like Jon Stewart uses like his ring to make giant catapults to shoot boulders of snow at her,
or like the 20 hands he makes and just like launches like a barrage
after she knocks him into a tree and he gets covered in snow. I think that was one of the best things.
Yeah. The DC theme songs are pretty much all bops, but this show is like cream of the crop, one of the best theme songs ever. Like as soon as that it
sticks with you. It really sticks with you. I can still hum it.
Oh yeah, that thing hits, slaps, if you will. I'm gonna say the Justice League theme slaps.
Why? The Justice League themes.
Something I always love in superhero stories is seeing them not be superheroes. I know it's kind of weird, but like seeing these people that I know like save the planet and save the universe, fight bad guys, deal with all this like stuff constantly. Seeing them getting some like R&R is always cool because like gives you more.
And
of that.
I also think this part of the episode, that story specifically, shows that really well. Whereas the Flash story, he's still being a superhero, but in this one, they are both doing stuff. They're having fun. They're interacting in a way that's very human, very, very good. It's just great. They're very well characterized for the way they are in the series. It's really fitting what everything goes happens. I
want to talk about the Flash, like just his whole section, just because when the Ultra Humanite destroys that toy and he's just like, I think he said something along the lines of, "You could just shoot me now. It doesn't matter. Like I've disappointed these kids." Like it's not about him stopping crime. It's about saving people. Like even if it's not fighting crime, like he wants to just make people happy. He does not
want to disappoint those orphans. He wants them to make sure that they are loved and cared about.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things that I've always loved about the Flash is just that he's not Batman. He's not going to go punch the mentally ill. He cares about his bad guys. Like, what's the bar called they all hang out in? I'll have to look it up.
It might be just the Rogues Gallery. I'm not sure. So it might just be the gallery.
All of his bad guys hang out at this bar, and they don't like. It's a non-aggression. Like you can't have weapons, you can't fight there, you can't get arrested there. It's just a place for them to like be themselves.
It is neutral territory.
Yeah, and they both can hang out there. I just think that's something that no one else has with their villains. Also, the Flash villains aren't villains; they're crooks. They're not going around killing people.
I mean, they're so well known that a lot of people have started calling, because they are the rogues. They are the Rogues Gallery. They're so well known that people started, and like so organized that people started calling everybody else villains. They're rogues. And
just some context for people who don't know comic books as well as they know like the CW shows. The Flash, the Rogues Gallery, the two biggest ones are Heatwave and Captain Cold, who not only were on The Flash, they were so loved on The Flash, they went on to Legends of Tomorrow. So, like, these characters are not, like, they're not the Joker, but they're pretty well known now, which is pretty cool to see because their costumes were ridiculous.
Well, I mean, they're not the only two big ones. You also have the Pied Piper, who's incredibly large in the mythos.
Right, but I'm saying mainstream, like... people who...
Well, yeah, the mainstream. Well, the Pied Piper was pretty big in that, too, in the Flash show, too.
Oh, not...
But I digress.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're not arguing about this because that's false.
Well, he was on the team. Well, never mind.
Superman and the Jean story, I think, is, like, my favorite Christmas story in, like, fiction.
I like how... I mean... all of these stories that we're talking about today, I don't know what the Hawk Girl and Green Lantern would be comparable to like line stories that of Christmas stories. Like this story has some Christmas Carol elements, whereas as you already mentioned, what was the film The Flash was like?
Jingle All the Way, a holiday classic, if you will.
Yeah.
Something when they get to the planet with Hawkgirl and Green Lantern, in the background is Swamp Thing. He walks by. Just a little...
I did not notice that.
Yep, Swamp. That is, I think, his only appearance in the show. He just walks by. Just no big deal.
I didn't know that. I did not notice.
The Ultra Humanite destroying the art made me, just crack up because he literally just walks in the museum and is like, oh, this art's shit. Let's blow it up.
And then, he has so much character development in this story, just like the Flash and everybody else. But I think he was probably the best villain to use for this.
Yeah. Oh, I have the quote right here. I didn't realize I wrote it down. He loves bringing culture to the uncorrupted. And I think that says a lot about his character, which is really cool.
I love how at the end of that story, when Flash brings him the aluminum Christmas tree, and he's like, I know it's not much, but he's just like, we used to have one when I was... And then he just stops because he doesn't want to say too much about himself. And at the end, he just turns on his little light show that he has and looks at the tree while the Flash peeks back in. And it ends real wholesomely.
Yeah, I've never been a huge... you were always a bigger Flash guy than I was, but, as I grow older and, know more,
it's never been it's not the super speed that's interesting, it's the character.
Yeah, it's him, Wally mostly. Wally's heart is just the biggest thing.
He's a very nuanced character. He has a lot of bravado. He has a heart of gold. Barry also has a heart of gold, but he's a lot more timid than Wally is in the comics.
Yeah.
And
I'm happy that these characters are out there and people know them and all that stuff. Seeing the Flash, people who've never read comics before watch the Flash, and that's so cool to me. And I think having a character that's so accessible and likable is such a good thing to have, because a lot of the reason some people don't get into DC is because a lot of the stories are dark, but there's so many parts of the universe you can find something that fits your fancy.
Oh yeah, very diverse.
Yeah, but I think that's all we have to say about that story. I want to save one little tidbit of that for the end.
Okay.
The Santa part of this episode. So do you want to go on to Batman Brave and the Bold, Invasion of the Secret Santas?
Sure. Well, it starts with the cold open of Batman with Blue Beetle fighting against Sportsmaster, who decides to attack a bowling alley because bowling is not a sport. I have no argument against that. If you like to bowl, good for you.
Yeah, I'm not pro or against bowling. You do your thing. I don't like bowling, but
I just don't think it's a sport. I think it's a game. But anyway.
Well, now you're shit talking.
So I am shit talking.
All right, keep going before we get in trouble with the bowling leagues.
The bowling leagues, yeah. And then Batman punches some bowling balls in the air with his fists, which are the hammers of justice, which is always great. And at the end of the cold open, he says, "Crime doesn't take a holiday," after Blue Beetle asks him if he wants to go eat dinner with his parents. And then it opens up to the main story, which is Red Tornado and Batman teaming up to save Christmas and Christmas Eve. It starts by Red Tornado saving two children and then having a conversation about them about the Christmas spirit. And he says, they bring up the Christmas spirit and he just I have never experienced this. And the little girl says, well, of course not, silly. You're just a robot.
And then they laugh at him.
Just a robot. They do.
The whole family does. Her brother, and the dad just laugh at this poor robot.
And then he goes and just I think it's he goes to his classroom. He goes to teach after that.
No, the teaching, he gets interrupted by the runaway vehicle. So,
he's teaching his class as an archaeology professor, which isn't really correct the way it's presented, but I never mind. I'm an anthropology minor. That's not important. So he goes and saves the kids, and then after he realizes that he doesn't know what Christmas in the Christmas spirit is, he does a bunch of research and he reads a book about Christmas, and then he decorates his whole house on a giant whirlwind in his human disguise, and then he decorates the outside, the inside, and he wears an ugly Christmas sweater. Christmas sweater. And, he tries to get into the spirit, and then he's like, something's missing. So he decides to go caroling. And then as he's singing, Jingle Bells?
All I know is that it's horrifying.
It is horrifying because he's so monotone, which is great. And then the family closes the door in his face.
This poor guy is just trying to find the Christmas spirit.
He just wants to be more human, which is great. And I think he does a really good job of showing that. But then, as he's trying to get into the Christmas spirit, aliens attack from Neptune. And him and Batman team up to fight them. But, as he's saying, Merry Christmas to Batman, Batman's like, it's not the time, Red Tornado. And then Batman's like, and then Red Tornado's like, but it's Christmas Eve. And then they fight the aliens, which turn out to not be aliens. They turn out to be toys made by Funhouse, who is just Toyman. Just Toyman by a different name. As we had discovered by looking it up.
Yeah.
And because he looks like Toyman from Super Friends.
Yeah, but he's ripped. It's so weird. He's like a doll, but he's like just really uncomfortably ripped.
He is. It kind of seems like, oh god, I don't want to think too much about it.
Yeah, Toyman is a really weird character. I much prefer when he's a little fat guy.
Well, I mean, there's the super toy looking one where it's like
freaky,
yeah,
freaky, and then there's fuck.
Where he's a normal guy in like a plaid jacket.
Yeah, he's a mess.
And then there's the young, I guess he's a hero.
What? Really?
Yeah, there was a heroic one. In the early 2000s.
I ain't about that. Turn that off.
Yeah, but anyway, so
the Super Friends one is freaky as fuck. I just want to get that out there.
Well, that's the one this is based off of. Yeah. The version of that from the comics.
Yeah, give me nightmares.
But back to the story. He decides that to run away from them afterwards, but he uses robot Santas to terrorize the town to mess with Batman and Red Tornado. And there's a big brawl. They fight an army of Santas. At one point, there's a Santa in a sleigh with real reindeer, and children get in the sleigh, and then Santa starts to attack them, and then it spooks the reindeer, so they run, and Batman has to run back, chase the sleigh, save the kids.
No.
No, I'm getting to it. And then he punches the Santa robot, punches its head clean off. The kids look on in horror. And he says, pretend you didn't see that.
Oh, no, you totally missed the badass part where Batman rides a reindeer after them. In hot pursuit.
You're right. He does do that.
Batman takes a reindeer and rides after him. Like Red Dead.
He does.
Like Red Dead going after him. It's amazing.
Well, I'm too focused on the fact that he punches Santa's head off.
Or the fact that he kills one of the Santas with the Batarang and its face melts and it's a Terminator underneath.
Yeah. There's a lot of film references in this.
Alright, so you left off with the sled careening.
Yeah. So then Red Tornado saves the sleigh after it goes off a cliff?
Yeah, just some random cliff at the edge of this town.
Yeah, that was real weird. But he saves it, and they fly off, and the kids are like, "Oh, is this magic?" And no, it's just Red Tornado saving the day. So after that, one of the Santa robots had a screen pulled out earlier in the episode, and Funhouse's face pops up again and says that there's a bomb hidden somewhere in the city. So all night until Christmas morning, Batman and Red Tornado search for this bomb, but it turns out to be a wild goose chase. Because at this time, his plan is coming to fruition. Turns out the hot toy on the market, which is, I have it written somewhere.
It is a little action figure.
It is an action figure, but it is a specific name. And it is the Presto Play Pals toy. And turns out it is made by Funhouse. And they all come alive after they are opened. Well, one actually punches his way out of the box.
Could you imagine waking up Christmas morning and one of your action figures punching out? It's like, I'm here to rob the house, motherfucker.
And then he runs up to the mother, grabs her pearls, which, why is she wearing pearls in the morning? I don't know.
Listen, it's Christmas morning.
Busts through the window. Maybe that was a present. Who knows? Busts through the window, and then it goes into a montage of these toys terrorizing kids and stealing presents.
It reminded me of what's that movie that I don't care? Oh, Nightmare Before Christmas, where all the toys on the morning are trying to eat the families and stuff. But this is just little Terminators, kind of. Just Terminators taking your shit.
And then they confront them. Batman and Red Tornado confront them, all the robots, and then Funhouse comes out, and all of the little Presto Play Pals become one big Presto Play Pal fighting robot. So Batman and Red Tornado decide to fight him, and Red Tornado is getting his last attack in, and he's like, it's not enough. So he goes into overdrive, and he's like, as he's destroying the robot, he goes, "Oh, I feel something." He believes he's feeling the Christmas spirit. And then he explodes, saving Christmas. And Batman grabs his head, which is just on the ground, and says, "I'll fix you, friend." There's also a side bit of the story.
Yeah, I wanted
that I did not mention, which I wanted to mention just all at once because it's about Batman.
Yeah, it's real fun.
And not the story at hand. It's about the time where Batman's parents died, and turns out it was right around Christmas.
It was his fault.
Okay, yes.
I'm not pulling punches on this one. Bruce Wayne is a dick, and he got his parents killed in this story.
Okay, can I tell them what happened?
Yeah, but he killed him. It's his fault.
No, I believe that's basically the truth. So one Christmas, Thomas Wayne gives his son, young little Bruce, a nutcracker instead of the action figure that Bruce wanted. So Bruce throws a tantrum because his dad gave him a very heartfelt present that his own father had given to him. So Bruce does not get his swashbuckler action figure. So Thomas and Martha decide that it's time to go to the movies to see a swashbuckling movie.
What
The
movie?
Mask of Zorro.
Oh, there you go. What happens to that movie, Jake?
Depends on which one you're watching.
Oh, well, what happens when it's over? Or when he gets interrupted? Or the power gets cut? Or it's a play and Bruce gets too scared and they have to leave?
So, towards the end of the film, they go outside and they cut through an alley but just before they get out, and Thomas says, "Well, I hope that this swashbuckler movie makes up for not getting that toy." And then Bruce just pouts. So they cut through an alley, and then they're shot, and then all you hear is Mom and Dad.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, kid, your parents all dead.
And at the end of the very episode, the adult Batman gets into the Batmobile, and Alfred had snuck the Nutcracker into the Batmobile. I know, and he says, "Thanks, Alfred." But crime doesn't take a holiday. Again. But then, I know it's supposed to just be... Let's just talk about that real quick. We'll start with that, because that's fresh in my brain.
What, the crime doesn't take a holiday?
No. The fact that Alfred put the Nutcracker that has caused Bruce so much pain into the Batmobile.
I don't think that's what it's meant as. I think it's
I know it's not. It's meant to be, oh, Alfred did this nice thing for Bruce because he knows that was the last thing he got from his parents, so it means a lot.
Right, it's more about being grateful for what you have, and Batman never fucking does that because he's the worst.
Accurate, but it just comes off as, hey, you got your parents killed.
I don't know. I disagree completely, just because it's like, this isn't like it's a heartfelt show, but it's not like wow, this is really deep. It's a
pulpy action show.
Yeah.
It's a pulpy action show. That is what this is.
Oh, it's like a sequel to the 60s Batman. It's bombastic. It's like a B movie. It's actually, there's like, until, was it season 3 when A-listers come in?
Yeah.
Like, Superman isn't till Superman doesn't come until season 3. The Joker's only seen like once or twice. It's like all of the minor characters. There's a fantastic Aquaman.
And outrageous.
But let's let me just, there's one big thing from this episode that spoke to me on a personal level.
Laughing at the person who does not understand the holiday season?
No, the theremin. The instrument of the gods. So when he's decorating his house, it's like, it's all Christmassy, but like the theremin's being played. And the theremin is an instrument that is played, I guess, on airwaves. I don't really understand the science behind it, but it's very science
described
fiction.
to me in a class before, and it is a weird instrument.
Yeah, so it is
scientific.
Yeah, it's a very science fiction instrument. So, like, when you, like, see all these old, like, alien movies, that's what's played. It's like, woo.
And I think it goes really well with the fact that he is an android.
Right. And, like, so once that started, I was like, oh, it's kind of weird that they're putting this into this episode. But then the Martians showed up, and I was like, this seems like a really bad plot out of a movie that they'd watch on Mystery Science Theater 3000. So I sat there for a couple minutes, and I watched it again today before we did this. And I was like, this just feels like I've watched someone else watching this. And there is a movie called Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, which they did do on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
And on the show, they call it the Neptunian Christmas or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. But it's clearly inspired by that Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
Yeah, I couldn't... I thought for a second maybe it was a real movie, but I couldn't find it. I'm glad that you found something.
Yeah, I have a really weird knowledge of shit. Nothing good. So, the cold open, I love that this show has them, just because it, like, features sometimes really, really obscure characters, but this one was Blue Beetle.
I love how eventually they all start to connect.
Yeah. But the Sportsmaster, it's so, like, I don't know, like, now watching him on this...
It's not a sport.
Compared to him in Young Justice, it's like, in Young Justice, they treat this... it's like
joke.
He's a joke. They treat him as like this really badass, like Deathstroke like character, and you're like, nah, dude, that guy hits people with hockey pucks.
In Young Justice, they treat him as something more than Deathstroke.
Yeah, he's like this. He's a pinnacle point of the show, and it's just like, yo, this dude slaps. Like he like whacks hockey pucks at people. That's his gig. But yeah. I think that's... Also, the show's one-liners are incredible. Like, the crime doesn't take a holiday, and neither do I. I think there was another one that was like, wow, they just said that. Oh, when you start tingling, I'd see a repairman. That's what Batman says to Red Tornado when he's talking about...
feeling the Christmas spirit.
And then Santa punches The Robot Santa punches Batman and Red Tornado, and Batman goes, "He just made the naughty list." Like,
The one-liners are the best thing.
he probably works on them a lot more than he does on being a dad.
I mean...
A big note I have here is, in bold, Bruce got his parents murked because he's an ungrateful little bitch. Merry Christmas, I guess.
Ho, ho, ho.
God. Like, I love Batman as a character, but he's the worst.
I think TV Batman is always... he's always kind of a little bigger asshole than the comics one.
I think both of them are assholes. Like, the fact that he's like, I only work alone, but, like, check out behind me when I have, like, 13 Robins, a Batwing, Azrael. Like, I got this whole gang, but, like, I work alone.
And then they all pop out from behind his cape. Out from under his cape. Every time he says that they're alone, it's just Cass popping out. Just looking up at him, unable to utter a full sentence. And he's like, pats her on the head.
World's Greatest Detective. Red Tornado buys him a mug that says World's Greatest Detective.
Yeah.
Like, Red Tornado is trying so hard, and if he just went to any other superhero, he would have gotten a better...
Like, imagine if he went and just did this with Superman instead.
Yeah, he would have had a great time. He would have gotten Coco. It would have been nice, but he did it with Batman. Let's talk about that.
I do like how, I want to say that compared to the other story, it does combine parts of both the Flash one and the Superman Martian Manhunter one.
Yeah, the outsider trying to figure out what it's like.
Yeah.
But we can talk about that when we compare them.
Well, I mean, we can just do that now.
I still got more.
Okay.
The full,
But I want to say one thing. I want to say one thing before you go into your thing.
What?
Those kids, that family laughs at him.
Yeah.
Like they're just like like the way she says it. You're just a robot, silly. I'm like, oh my god, that cuts so deep.
And the fact that he just saved their lives, and they're just like, you suck.
They treat him like shit.
The only thing that really I can criticize in this episode isn't really a criticism. It's just something that made my skin crawl. Was his full skin suit.
I think it's supposed to.
Yeah, but it's just like he throws on this skin suit and then he has this piercing blue eyes that just like rip into your soul, and you're like, dude, just cover those things up. Just wear sunglasses.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that.
He needs some shades.
Yeah, come on, dude.
But no, actually, no, I don't want him to have shades because I know they're going to come out of his like head. Like they'll be like drop down, like like shutters.
Another thing, the theme song on this one, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I will take anyone in one-on-one combat about how DC Comics has the best theme songs, period.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's... There's various videos and just arguments that can be made about that.
Yeah, no, it's not an argument. It's just a simple fact. Like, it's just...
Oh, it is?
It's just
no, I mean, there are things that have already made that claim.
Oh, yeah.
About...
Not a claim. It's a fact.
I know. I agree. But we're not here to start fights, Dan.
All right. Well, we'll have an episode about the music. But let's get on to the comparison. Let's see what story ranks up better. So
let's. I think there's one important question that we have to ask first. Which one makes you feel the Christmas spirit more?
Oh, Justice League. Attack from all sides.
I think so. I think so too. I think the way they approach it in both stories is pretty different.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, John in Martian Manhunter in Justice League knows what holidays are, but he just doesn't have the connection to them. Whereas Red Tornado is actively striving to understand what it's like to be human.
Yeah.
What is the Christmas spirit? What makes people go crazy about it?
I think the thing with Martian Manhunter, though, is that he doesn't let himself feel those feelings because he's lost his family. Like, his family was killed. And it's like something, like, even thinking about that stuff, you can see the pain that he's going through, like seeing
I think
Monpa.
one of the best parts about how, like, he doesn't convey a lot of emotions in the show. But I think it really, the way his voice is, it carries a lot of sadness.
Yeah.
But I also want to talk about how he does the sweater where he gets it big again, because his voice changes. He's just like, I can grow into it.
It perks up. Like, he perks up so much because he just feels like he's a part of the family.
Yeah.
I really do think the Justice League conveys better the themes of, like, what I would consider the holiday spirit.
Oh, yeah.
Of, like,
I also want to say about Martian Manhunter is that the way Streaky interacts with him, like, Streaky does not like when he's in his disguise, but accepts him when he's in his true form.
Yeah. Yeah, but that just goes with, like, what I think this episode conveys better. It's just the holiday season is about sharing, bonding, and letting people be a part of your life. That, like,
it's a wholesome episode, and it's a lot more. This also comes at the end of Justice League.
Yeah,
where the show you care about the characters, you know everything about them, but
a lot of bad stuff is about to happen.
Yes, but that's not what I mean. This is episode 5 of Batman Brave and the Bold.
Yeah, but it feels so. It's not the thing that I.
But I do think that is where this episode is where it hits. It gets in its groove.
Yeah, like, finds out what it wants to be.
Yeah. Pulp.
Yeah.
But I want to say that if you want to have. I think the way we watched it over another holiday was good because we watched the Justice League first, but then we watched the only way to describe Invasion of the Secret Santas is super fun. Just like most Brave and the Bold episodes.
Yeah, so this feels more like
except for Children of the Night.
This feels more like a pop Christmas movie than one that actually has something to say. So I feel like Justice League has a lot to say about, like, found family and how much that can mean to someone, acceptance, at the outsider. But then you have Brave and the Bold, which is a fun, like, oh, the holiday spirit, like, everyone's happy.
I want to talk about how ballsy it was because the show Justice League. I mean, as much as it is it was written really well for adults to follow along, but they did a really ballsy thing because the majority of the audience was children. They were like, "Oh yeah, Santa's not real," and Superman's like, "Santa's real." I think that's a important thing to note.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, my favorite holiday movie is Gremlins, and that one also denounces the big lie. But I don't know. I just think so you brought up, we were talking about how to do a rating system for this show, and we believe all of these stories we're going to talk about are something you should check out if you're interested. But Jake brought up the idea of making.
Is it an essential read or essential watch in this case, or not? Which doesn't necessarily denote whether something's good or bad or anything. It's important.
Yeah. And I truly think that Justice League is the essential story today.
Yeah, I think you can really get away with not watching the Brave and the Bold episode, even though it is very good.
Yeah, it's not something I'm going to watch again next holiday season. I watch because Justice League every year.
Yeah, it's also a very earned episode.
Yeah. So that means Justice League is our essential story today. But the thing I wanted to save to the end is something that's going to bring us into our spotlight. When John Jones is walking around town, he hears this little girl laminating as she looks out the window about how Santa is real and how she really hopes he eats those cookies this year. So, Jean, is corporeal the word? Is that what he does? Oh, intangible. He goes intangible. Yeah.
Well, non-corporeal would probably work too.
Yeah, so he goes through the house and goes through the chimney, and his arms are like stretchy, so he stretches down. But what cookies were left out for Santa this year, Jake?
Chocos.
You want to talk a little bit about Chocos?
Chocos, the DC universe of Oreos, which are John Jones' favorite cookie. Well, favorite thing, really.
Not even just favorite. Like, they're his like drug. That's what he loves.
I think one of the fun, like, when Booster Gold and Blue Beetle were on the JLI with him, which is Justice League International, with Martian Manhunter, one time they decided, let's steal his Chocos. So they steal his giant stockpile of them and hide them. They thought this was just an innocent prank. No, not the case.
Jean hulks out. He hulks out and goes after them to get his cookies back. And he's like, not like, he literally goes like full beast. Like, he's not as intelligent as he was before. He wants his goddamn cookies back. And I think I don't know if it's a cover to that issue or another issue where he's literally sitting on a throne made of Chocos.
That was a issue of Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, this dude loves his Chocos and milk. Like, I think it's even in Sandman. Like, when Neil Gaiman started first writing that, the Dream or whatever his name is goes into the JLI house. Wait, he goes into the JLI house, and Martian Manhunter's eating these cookies. So it's literally everywhere. It's not just like a one-off.
I want to talk about what happens after he hulks out. So at the end, I just pulled up the panel for this. It's Blue Beetle apologizing. He's like, geez, John, we're sorry. Had we known this was going to happen, we never would have taken them in the first place. And then it's just him patting Martian Manhunter in his like rage state on the head. And then Blue Beetle realizes what he just said, and he's like, whoopsie. And Manhunter's pissed. His eyes just glow red. Veins on his head are fucking popping out. It's great.
Yeah, but it's something that stuck with him forever. And when he dies after Final Crisis, after he gets killed in Final Crisis, they bury him on Mars, and Batman is the last person to walk up, and he leaves a single Choco on his casket,
which is good, because when Manhunter was hulking out, he says Mars needs Chocos. As Booster is laughing at him. And as he says that, Booster's like, oh no, we're going to get yelled at again, aren't we? And Beetle's like, big time.
Yeah, so there's an actual quote about it. Batman says, you're a junkie. You're a Chocos junkie. And I think it's a good place to stop the Chocos spotlight. Never thought we would do that.
Eat Chocos, guys.
So that brings us to the end of our first Christmas special. And
episode 2.
Yeah, issue 2.
Well, yes, issue 2.
Stick with the branding.
Okay.
So, you can find us at DC Super Sons on Twitter. And on anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Shoot us that 5-star review, write us a review, whatever you want. If you have any requests or anything like you would like to see from the shows, just let us know. You can reach us at dcsupersons@gmail.com or tweet at us.
And next time, we're going to talk about everyone's favorite detective, Batman.
World's worst dad.
It's true.
All right. So thanks for listening.
Have a nice one, everybody. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.